Hello everyone, and you're so much welcome to today's tutorial, and I still remain your shoemaking made easy tutor Odurole Mojibola. Today I'm going to be showing us quickly how you can perfectly cut the outer sole of your Birkenstock. Your Birkenstock sandal as an outer sole. I've explained to us different things you can use as an outer sole in my last video, so please catch up on that. And today I'm going to be showing us how can you perfectly cut it even when you don't have a grinding machine. How do I cut and still have a perfect shape? Now, if you're watching this channel for the first time, I plead with you to subscribe to my channel, press the notification bell so that each time I upload a video you will be notified. And please, I need you to do this for me. Sit back and I'm gonna be right back. Now, as you can see, I taught us in the previous video how you are supposed to actually outline if you are wetting the edge. Now, I saw that a lot of us is also interested in knowing how we can perfectly cut out our sheet, probably a sheet of EVA foam or PVC sheet, that's a rubber sheet, or a crepe or leather. So now I'm making use of an EVA foam. You can see the two sides are plain. Now the intention is for me to actually have not just one color under my Birkenstock sole, but I'm going to be having two different colors. So I'm having white first, this particular red color first, then I'm going to place black or white as in at the back. So what I'm just going to do is, now that I've cut this out, I'm going to place this on the outer sole that has textured. I'm using an EVA foam. You can, as I told us in the, please watch the previous video before this. I will try to put it at the end of the screen of this video so that you can click and just watch to see. So make sure you watch that so that you can enjoy this particular video more. So I'm going to place this on that EVA foam, and then I'm going to try to see how I'm going to be showing us basically how you can actually attach it to this. So before you finally last and do every other thing, to avoid you altering your pattern, because by the time you say you want to start trying to trim it and do a lot of things, when you are finished with all of the lashing, it can be a little bit challenging. So let's see how we can go about that. So now that I've already cut out my inner sole and the outer, so to say, because it's a double, I'm doubling it. I'm using a sandpaper to actually roughen the surface just to enhance the adhesion of the two marco. One is of course plain and the other is textured. I'm applying my contact cement adhesive, which some call generally a Forte. I'm applying it on top of my EVA foam. We call EVA foam marco in Nigeria, but generally it's called an EVA foam. So apply your contact cement adhesive on it, and then you can go ahead and allow it to dry. Touch it. If it's dry and not still sticking, just place your red colored EVA foam on it and hammer. Now, you can decide to use a utility knife to open this up, I mean to trim it out, especially if you don't have a grinding machine. I will advise that for all your cutting, use a utility knife. Now, a utility knife will ensure that the edges are very smooth as you cut. So that is one major advantage, but you must make sure that you are careful with it. Since it's an EVA foam, it will definitely cut easily, even if it's a rubber sheet, even if it's a crepe. Just make sure that it's a very sharp utility knife that you are using. It will trim it properly well. But if you have a grinding machine, you can decide to just cut out and go ahead, and then you use your grinding machine to do the finishing. And ensure you hammer. You can see this place is not neatly close, so it means you need to hammer it. Of course, you can trim it out, then re-hammer it so that you can maintain hammering on the edges. Now, you have to be careful if you are using an EVA foam, because if you hammer, it will begin to deform it. So for my own, the texture part is what I'm just going to try to hammer, and not the plain part. So I think that's what we are going to do. So you can use your utility knife, and you can also use your scissors to cut. So your utility knife is for you if you don't have a grinding machine. Just make sure that your hand is very close to the edge I mean to the edge here, and you begin to, now I need to be very careful because I don't want this to be much, so I'm just going to trim it down gently. So you find out that as you cut, you can see how smooth it looks. So that's how smooth it will look like by the time you are through with your cutting. Just do that, straight. But if you are using the scissors, you find out that it's possible that it will not be as neat as this. So that is one of the advantage if you don't have a grinding machine. So as you cut, make sure that you are very careful and don't hurt yourself. You will find out that, like I said, the two sides will be different for a scissors and also for your utility knife. It will definitely be different. It will not be as smooth as it ought to be. So after all of this, I'm going to go ahead and use the grinding machine to finish the edges because I intend to show us how to do that. So before I go ahead and use the grinding machine, I will try to use this same sandpaper to roughen the surface, apply some contact cement adhesive just to hold the sole and that inner sole together. I want to use it to hold the two of them together so that it will be easy for me to finish the edges. I'm going to be showing us two different ways in which we can actually do this. It's either you do it this way or you do it otherwise. Just follow me as we go. So now that I've added them together, I'm just going to go ahead and try to, grind the edges and make sure it perfectly fits my Birkenstock. Now, I need you to know that this kind of a process, you have to be very careful. The most effective way to do this is either to use your sandpaper or to use your hand grinding tool. This might actually seem difficult for a beginner, but please, I need you to know that you can do otherwise. You may decide not to actually go through this particular route, but if you are sure you can manage it effectively well, that is actually fine. So all you need to do is to keep checking and ensuring that, okay, it's perfectly aligning with your Birkenstock sole, and that is all for that. Alternatively, you can decide not to even try to glue or bond them together prior to your grinding the edges and finishing it to perfectly fit your Birkenstock sole. Just go ahead after cutting it out. Try to use your grinding machine to reduce the edges or give it a perfect finish, and keep checking on your Birkenstock until it perfectly fits it. That's another alternative you have, so that you will not end up, you can see what I have here. One is actually having excess, so I have to file again. So from this, you can see what and the ways in which you can actually achieve a perfect look on your Birkenstock outer sole. So I need you to know that if you don't have a grinding machine, I will suggest you ensure that whatever pattern outline you are going to be using for this, make sure that it's not the perfect size. And this is what I mean. Let it be a little bit smaller. I mean by the edge. Make sure it's about 1 millimeter away from the edge, just a bit smaller. You can see that you're still seeing the bottom, just about 1 millimeter, so that by the time you cut it, it will not be wider than it. When it's wider than it, it's always difficult to reduce, especially if you don't have a grinding machine. The utility knife might not be able to reduce that little quantity that is showing by the side, which means that you definitely have to use a grinding machine. Now, you don't necessarily have to use a table grinding machine. You can use an hand grinding machine like what I have on the screen. You can get that and use that to start. Please, enough of complaining about not having a grinding machine. Although this hand grinding machine may not be able to do much, especially if you don't buy a very good one. If you buy a very good one, like Dremel is a very good one, and all of them have, of course, the same speed, different speed rather, and their capacities are always different. So look out for the one that has a capacity that is not much. If you're starting with a Birkenstock, I would suggest that as much as possible go for what you can afford. And if you want to try to at least leave that out for somebody to do for you. You can just cut out the sew, get it to those who has a grinding machine. Let them do for you, at least for a start. Watch why they do it. Watch why they do it, so that over time you'll be able to learn how to handle it yourself. By the time you finally get your home grinding machine, I'm sure you can see this is a perfect one. Irrespective of whatever you put on top of it, will be very, very, very fine. Now, I also need you to know that in my next tutorial, I'm going to be explaining to you how you can neatly wrap this without having a crease. I've seen so many people wrap this with a lot of crease right here. So I'm going to be showing you how to wrap this in my next video. That's going to be on Saturday. How you can wrap neatly, how you can actually cover this footbed and then go ahead and wrap all of this neatly without a crease. Now, if you're watching my channel for the first time, I want to believe you have enjoyed today's tutorial. Ensure that you please like this video. Help me, please like it, share it, subscribe to my channel, and also press the notification bell so that by the time I publish the next video, which will be on Saturday, you will be able, to get the information that you need right on time and get to learn quickly. And then if you would like to join any of my paid classes, I have paid classes for beginners. I have for those who would love to create half shoes, those who would love to create heels. I have a particular course on how to create an edge coat, which is what we use on the edges of our foot, of our leather, of our bags after production. So I have a course on how you can create that particular leather edge coat. So once again, I want to say thank you for watching me today, and I still remain your most wealthy shoemaking made easy tutor, Odurole Mojibola, and I'm going to see you next time. Bye.